Alright guys, this is experimental video issue number 2 with Doc, and we have The New Captain America by Chip Zdarsky, Valerie Schiti, and Frank Martin. And this is going to be initial assessment, guys. This is going to be a new look for initial assessment. So we have a brand new issue 1 that opens up here with this very moody artwork. And then it kind of opens up to more of an Olivia Coppel type of artwork and faces right here. And you get action and you get adventure and you think that it's modern day, but it's not. It's kind of like he's been thrown back into the 1960s. And that's a little bit jarring to begin with, to not really know that in the beginning. But you figure it out relatively quickly. He's allowed to stop this villain. Sorry, guys, it's moving in and out. He's allowed to stop this villain, and then here's Iron Man. And if you look at Iron Man's armor, then you realize relatively quickly that this is not modern-day Iron Man. Instead, this is something much older. So you get this dynamic between Iron Man, who really thinks that he can coerce anybody into anything because, you know, with the amount of money that he's got, he pretty much makes the rules as far as weapons contracts and big government and big business. But here Steve turns him down. He says, I just want to do good. I don't want to be part of the Avengers. I actually want to be part of the Army. I want to be part of what I was when I left here in 1945. So at the end of that particular little branch, you get Thaddeus Ross, and he welcomes him back to the U.S. Army. But you get this backstory about another kid, Davy. And what is his story? And he's kind of a runt. He's a 4F runt, just like Steve Rogers was back in the day. Now, this was a cool little thing. I don't know if Reed Richards ever really did that or not, but it's kind of cool. Somebody saw him out drinking with Steve, and then he was able to change his molecules to look like a regular guy. And as he's managed to do that, then he tells Steve, you know, hey, look, I idolized you as a kid. And it's called an action figure. And they made one of Bucky too. So this is an introduction to this world. It's an introduction to a new... I don't know if this is going back in time, if it really is. I don't know if it's going to be a retro series, and that's what they decided to do, because Marvel has really gotten so far away from who Captain America is and what he embodies that it just blows my mind that I guess they feel the necessity to go back to the 1960s and try to have a fresh start. But you know what's going to upset me is if they go back, and Zdarsky is one of the apologists of the comic book era, and he seeks to apologize for the slights of others that may or may not be slights, but he feels that they are. I'm just going to come out with it. He doesn't like Trump. He doesn't like the way that America's going at the moment. And I'm worried that this is going to turn into a situation where we can't allow ourselves to become so patriotic that it alienates other people. And where I saw one panel that really bothered me about this particular book is Davy's mom. You need therapy, not a gun, not some racist war. My heart breaks for everyone who died, but it's also breaking for everyone about to die. Captain America has always been about being on the right side of things, the moral side of things. Are there shady government contracts that Steve knows nothing about? Are people being assassinated each and every day that Steve knows nothing about? Of course it is. That's the way the government works. But at the same time, he believes in the spirit of America. He believes in the goodness of humankind. He believes in the person that sees somebody fall on the street or about to fall on the street, and instead they go and they scoop them up and help them. And a lot of people are so intent and so hung up on who they want to be that they don't even understand how to step up and help their fellow person. Whether it's a Republican, a Democrat, an old person, a young person, a white person, a black person, an Asian person, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you are that strong hand to reach out during the time of need. And that is, I'm afraid, not what this particular book is going to be about. It doesn't look like it looks to me like it's setting up a proto-cap. Not necessarily a proto-cap, but a replacement cap versus the real deal. And that's setting up an ideological war. And with what I've stated before about Chip Zdarsky and his feelings about America, about freedoms and morals, and how they differ from what other people feel, I'm just afraid that this book is going to go into that ideological territory, and we're going to have Cap Jr. defeat Captain America to teach him a lesson. And I don't think that's what Captain America is all about. Captain America is a human, so of course he can lose, and of course he can grow from those losses, and he can become so much more than he was before. But to have him lose to somebody to teach him something is heavy-handed. And I just don't think that that's what we need in a Cap story, just like we don't need another story where Captain America loses his country and has to go out on a road trip to find himself. Because Cap should know who he is. He should always know who he is. He may lose sight of who the country is, but he shouldn't have to hop on a motorcycle and drive around every decade or 2 decades and take a road trip and say, where is my America? Maybe every 50 years, because the ideological ideas of today are most definitely not the ideological ideas of the 60s or even the 70s. So maybe once every 50 years they need to pull out that trope, but I just don't, I can't recommend this in good faith because it doesn't seem like something that would really hold up. I read something in an article the other day, and then I heard Perch talk about it on his channel this morning as well. Are these stories going to hold up in 40, 50, 60 years? I do a whole series called Greatest Hits, and right now I'm focusing on the greatest hits of the Fantastic Four. Those stories are classic. 70 years on, 60, 70 years on, they're classics. But are any of the true superhero stories that are being written and drawn right now, are they going to hold up in 40, 50, 60, 70 years? What is the message that is being taught? What is the message that is being brought by having a new #1 issue of a title after the last title tanked after 16 issues? Because we got ideological Shrek. schlock. Sorry, I get emotional sometimes, but ideological schlock from JMS. So do we really need another version of this that's going to preach to us? Captain America should give speeches, not preach. He shouldn't talk down to those that don't understand. He should again offer a hand and help lift them up and bring them into the light and enlighten them. That's what Cap is all about. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you think that Cap should be a mouthpiece for whoever's writing him and their values about America? Or do you think that the character himself should be unshakable, unflappable, and he knows who he is, and the words that come through him should be honorable, memorable, and always uplifting, never preachy? What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments, and let's talk about this in preparation for the next video.